unrest among communities and raising concerns for governments at all levels. It has become crucial for citizens to rise and perform their civic duties by actively participating in maintaining peace and order. Citizens' engagement through community initiatives and promoting social cohesion is mandatory for building a secured environment and fostering trust in security institutions. Also, fostering dialogue and understanding among conflicting communities and groups can help to reduce tensions and prevent conflicts. Emphasizing the shared responsibility of all citizens in promoting the common good can also help to create a more cohesive and resilient society. However, some experts say it is imperative for citizens to take responsibility by working collectively for the development of the country, while calling on all to imbibe morals, religious and social cultural values to protect the sanctity of human life and remain one's brother's keeper. But what role is the media playing across all sections, and how much sensitization is being carried out by the National Orientation Agency in the quest of mobilizing citizens through various initiatives on security consciousness? Well, tonight, security is in focus, particularly mobilizing citizens to tackle the rising challenges. And our guest is Director, Special Duties and State Operations, National Orientation Agency, Mr. David Akoji. Thank you for joining us. This is Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguele. First, let's begin with the news. Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria will embark on massive tree planting as part of national afforestation and environmental sustainability drive. He stated this after touring multiple agricultural and industrial facilities in Ethiopia. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
This state visit of the agricultural and industrial tour in Adama, a city in East Shewa Zone, 99 kilometers southeast Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital. Ethiopia is a success story worthy of emulation and a pathfinder for Africa's renaissance. The initiative draws stronger inspiration from Ethiopia's Green Legacy program, which he described as a model for combining climate action with economic opportunity.
We intend to plant 20 billion trees in the next rainy season, but it requires a lot of planning, it requires a lot of energy and drive, which Ethiopia was able to successfully galvanize the population. And greater credit goes to the Prime Minister. When a fish starts getting rotten, it starts from the head. And when the head is good, the rest of the body tends to be good. I think the President of Ethiopia, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, is a game changer, is a phenomenal leader, one of the best that the continent has ever produced.
The Vice President's tour included visits to Adama Dairy Farms, Luke Avocado Nursery, Shera Dibandiva Mojo Family Integrated Farm, Bio Poultry Farm, and Bishoftu Pier Farms, as part of efforts to strengthen bilateral ties in agricultural and industrial development.
If Nigeria and Ethiopia works, Africa will work. Jointly, the two of us constitute over 350 million people, more than the population of the United States. If Nigeria functions, because the trajectory of global growth is facing Africa, and Nigeria and Ethiopia will make or mar that destination. We are the youngest continent. The average age of the Nigerian nation is 17. And I believe the average age of the Ethiopian nation may equally be hovering around that figure. So we have to make these two countries work.
Why we came here so that we can go and let him know, and I believe that he will replicate it in a much more stronger, bolder scope than what we are seeing in Ethiopia today. He's very much interested in the diversification of the Nigerian economy, enhancement of exports, lines, just not concentration on oil and gas alone. So avocado is one of them. And prior to our coming here, there's been Mr. President and the Vice President have shown very strong interest in avocado, among other economic trees.
Central to the visit was the official launch of Ethiopia's Green Legacy Initiative, which the Nigerian Vice President described as a win-win for all, saying the program combines environmental restoration with job creation. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Abraham Jibrila, NTA.
Chief Executive Officer of the African Union Development Agency, Auda Nepat, Ms. Nardos Bekele Thomas, was on a working visit to the Auda Nepat Nigeria office in Abuja. Speedy implementation of Agenda 2063 and Nigeria's national program of action through adequate commitment and collaborations were top on agenda. Bekele Thomas commended Nigeria's contributions to regional development and called for enhanced cooperation to achieve more tangible, people-centered outcomes. She appeals to the Nigerian government to resume its statutory contributions to the AUDA, which is critical to sustaining key development interventions, including agriculture, governance, youth empowerment, and continental peer review mechanisms.
And the Nigeria office is doing more, given the fact that Nigeria is a big country with all the states and, with this whole devolution and decentralization. It's very important that we have our focal persons or focal points in the different states.
CEO Auda Nepat Nigeria, Jabiru Salisu Abdullahi, assures the Continental CEO that Nigeria will continue to prioritize activities of Auda Nepat, pointing to the agency's recent milestones, including the successful disbursement of grants to smallholder farmers and expanded capacity-building efforts for staff and stakeholders.
To what we have given them, and the farmers are really happy within the states. And on the area of climate, we are embarking, or have embarked on 1 million solar housing scheme.
Both sides expressed optimism for deeper collaboration and more impactful development delivery across Nigeria and the continent. Governors of the All Progressives Congress from a two-day strategic regional meeting held in Benin City, Edo State, they have reaffirmed their unwavering commitment to President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. Government House correspondent Goodluck Enanim reports that the governors presented a communique at the end of the meeting. Let's see that.
The meeting provided a crucial platform to harmonize development strategies, reinforce party cohesion, and reaffirmed the governor's dedication to people-centered development, institutional accountability, and intergovernmental collaboration. There was a comprehensive appraisal of the nation's economic, social, security, and political trajectory as undertaken by members of the forum.
Members expressed satisfaction with the renewed coordination between the federal and state institutions, particularly the prioritization of fiscal reforms, food security, energy transition, infrastructural modernization, and social sector revitalization.
Meanwhile, as economic indicators show signs of recovery, the forum wants further democratization through expanded investment in food security, job creation, poverty eradication, MSMEs, and social safety nets. The forum commended security agencies and ongoing efforts to counter criminality and safeguard national sovereignty, and further sued for greater investment in the surveillance infrastructure and the welfare of frontline personnel.
Governors reaffirmed their support for interagency coordination, community policing, and grassroots intelligence systems.
It, however, described resignation of the national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Ganduje, as being in tandem with the party's continued evolution. The forum also urged Nigerians, both home and in diaspora, to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC for a more secured, inclusive governance. In Benin, Goodluck Enaini, NTA News.
In other news, President Bola Tinubu congratulates Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Bashir Adewale Adeni, on his unanimous election in Brussels as the chairperson of the Council of World Customs Organization. President Tinubu congratulates Adeniyi on the recognition, applauding the fact that his leadership of the Nigerian Customs Service has been marked by increased revenue collections. In line with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's mandate to ensure every child has access to quality education, the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education has commenced the National Out-of-School Children Mop-Up Exercise in Kano. Shehu Adamu will tell us more.
According to UNICEF, Nigeria is one of the countries with the highest number of out-of-school children in the world. However, in a determined effort to address the challenge, the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education has launched a comprehensive mop-up exercise in Kano State to reduce the number of out-of-school children in the country. The exercise commenced at Gwale local government area of Kano.
My children don't attend Western school because we don't have the financial strength to enroll them. Their father is dead, and out of my 9 children, 4 attend school while 5 of them were dropped out.
As part of its long-term strategy, the Almajiri Commission plans to build schools in all the 774 local government areas of Nigeria to ensure access to quality education and long-term sustainability.
I am advising parents to always ensure their children are educated and also take advantage of the Commission's gesture.
That all children must go back to school. And it is on this mandate that we are all out. We came all the way from Abuja to enroll those out-of-school children back to school.
Under the mop-up exercise, the Commission aims to enroll 1 million children before the end of July 2025. In Kano, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
Major investments and policy reforms in the Nigerian health sector have attracted global commendation and enhanced levels of partnership and external investment finance into the country. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, stated this on the sidelines of the European Union's Global Summit in Brussels, Belgium, during an engagement with heads of state, ministers and CEOs of major multilateral institutions.
Acknowledging the imperative for countries to localize manufacturing capacities in their own borders for some of these commodities. And Nigeria's effort to unlock the healthcare value chain fits squarely in that direction. Our resources, the investments that the government of President Tinubu is making in health and other sectors as a consequence of the major macro-fiscal reforms that have been undertaken, I think are really being acknowledged and very timely.
Native Minister added that President Bola Tinubu, who doubles as the African Union champion for health, is leading a resurgence of foreign investment in Africa across multiple sectors, with the health sector now constituting a foremost frontier of new investor interest in Africa's largest market. Well, Nigerians can now breathe a sigh of relief in the detection, prevention and treatment of cancer diseases with the launch of a multi-cancer early detection blood test tool, OncoSec, introduced by Excellion International Limited. At the launch of this initiative in Ogun State, Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Adekunle Salako, said screening for early detection and promoting disease preventive habits are key to fighting non-communicable diseases, including cancer. Yemi Dalamo will tell us more.
Concerned by the increasing burden of cancer in the country, the federal government inaugurated a technical working group to develop national nuclear medicine guidelines and policy. The group, during their workshop in Abuja, renewed their commitment to fight against cancer. Excellion International Limited, a key player in the fight against cancer diseases in Nigeria, used the occasion to introduce an artificial intelligence platform, OncoSec, which integrates, validates immunoassays to test for 6 tumor markers, identifying 9 potential major cancers at the earliest stages.
Once you take that test, and that test will be brought to the OncoSec team,
We will put it in an algorithm which will now interpret that test and tell you whether you have cancer, you are going to have cancer, what stage, so that it gives an opportunity for you to know on time.
OncoSeek is a very good armament in our drive to prevent cancer. In 2025, we have also made appropriation provision to create additional cancer centers of excellence.
This may be a game changer in our cancer care in Nigeria, where diagnosis will be made at a very early stage.
The Nuclear Medicine Technical Working Group will make sure that we have a needs assessment of all the 6 geopolitical zones.
The Minister of State for Health thereafter visited Saga Pharmaceutical Company, manufacturers and importers of cancer medications, as well as other pharmaceutical products, including antibiotics and therapeutics, in Abuja. Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu mourns the passing of Alhaji Aminu Alhassan Dantata, an elder statesman, business mogul, and philanthropist. Dantata passed away at 94 in the early hours of Saturday. And a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says the President describes his death as a monumental national loss because of his sterling contributions to Nigeria's economic growth and development. He recalls his relationship with the late Mogul, describing his wise counsel and support as deeply encouraging and beneficial, and sends his heartfelt condolences to the Dantata family, the government and the people of Kano State on the death of Nigeria's illustrious son. Similarly, former President Muhammadu Buhari also mourns the passing of business leader Aminu Dantata, who he says leaves behind a monumental legacy in philanthropy and entrepreneurship. In a statement, the former president recalls Dantata's immense contributions to Islamic education, health, business and rural development, and prays to Allah to grant fortitude to his family, Kano Emirate Council, the government and people of Kano State, and to grant him Al-Jannatu Firdaus. In the same vein, northern governors have expressed deep sorrow over the demise of renowned business magnate and philanthropist Alhaji Aminu Alhassan Dantata, chairman of the Northern States Governors Forum and governor of Gombe State, Muhammadu Inuwahiyaya, in a condolence message on behalf of his colleagues, described the death of the Kano-born industrialist as a monumental national loss, as the deceased was one of Africa's wealthiest and most respected private sector figures. All right, let's take a break. And of course, you know they say security is everybody's business. So mobilizing citizens to rise to tackle this challenge is crucial. Stay on the dial. Thank you for staying with us. As Nigeria continues to face security challenges, government efforts are going beyond military action. Ministries, departments and agencies are working to conscientize citizens about their role in national security. Olajide Bello reports on how this strategy is unfolding.
On my journey to unravel this mystery, I met Onyekachi Eke, who was born in the 80s, where growing up for her was a different ball game. The fire of love was still burning hot, and everybody was everybody's keeper. Any strange person within the community was immediately identified communally in case of any security threats.
Growing up in the 80s, we had that. I mean, everybody was everybody's business. If a child misbehaved, another parent from a different ethnicity, religion could caution that child. But you don't have that these days. You know, even in the estate, I am ashamed to say I hardly know some of my neighbors.
The Nigerian Television Authority is also playing a vital role, using its wide reach to broadcast security education programs and highlight citizen-led initiatives. With support from non-governmental organizations, development partners and media organizations, this national effort aims to mobilize every Nigerian in the quest for a safer, more secure country.
If you look at the kinds of mindless killings and reprisals that have happened, it's simply because people have been made to feel unsafe. and it's from the narratives we share as journalists.
Security of every community, security of every society, security of every town, every country depend on the citizens of the country.
We've done surveys that shows this, that majority of the people that are the criminals themselves are dropouts or people who never went to school because they didn't have anything that they would think about in the future, because they didn't know, they didn't have any skill, they didn't have any education. So they were completely disconnected from the reality of the country.
With the radio jingles to school and market outreach, the National Orientation Agency is at the forefront of public sensitization, urging Nigerians to be alert, report suspicious activity, and promote peace in their communities. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Well, safety of life and property is a duty that transcends the police, military and allied security organizations in the country, like you've seen in that report. But in Lagos, residents are taking proactive steps to ensure a secured environment by providing useful information to relevant authorities to curtail the activities of criminal elements before they strike. Joel Papuala reports.
Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the country, is renowned for its high population and cultural diversity. Despite its cosmopolitan nature, security breaches have not been at a worrisome dimension thanks to security consciousness of the people and the complementary efforts of communities in securing their areas. Lagosians believe this has been yielding positive results.
When these things happen, they affect us, the citizens, directly. So we have to be vigilant, taking necessary actions when we observe something maybe unpleasant in our area.
Timely information sharing, active participation in community security initiatives, including neighborhood watch groups and local security forums, are major ways residents are contributing in addressing security concerns in their domain.
Community must relate with the serving personnel and commute as an interface with the civilian community, artisans, carpenters. If you harness these communities together, they will be able to tell you what they see.
If we can tackle insecurity, I think we'll solve half of the problem of our economical issues.
With the heterogeneous nature of Lagos, engaging in constructive dialogue and mediation to resolve conflicts peacefully and addressing underlying grievances, experts say, can forestall breakdown of law and order. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
So let's expand the discuss. We have a guest in the studio, Mr. David Akoji. He's the Director, Special Duties and State Operations, National Orientation Agency. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Akoji.
It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, viewers.
Good evening. And there's a lot, that has been cut out for the NOA when we're talking the sensitization issue, especially in the aspect of security. Mobilizing the citizens is very key. I know the NOA has been at the forefront, pushing this dialogue and expanding the conversation. But you tell us, what is the situation right now?
Well, let me start by commending General Christopher Musa, the current Chief of Defense Staff. Under his leadership, the security forces are doing quite a lot, and they are collaborating with us to mobilize citizens' support, for what the security agencies are doing in combating the various dimensions of security challenges that seem to have become a problem in our country. And the security challenges are diverse. They are not the same across geopolitical zones. And so to mobilize citizens, you will agree that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, that will work. Beyond the question of mobilization, the National Orientation Agency also does civil intelligence gathering. Our staff and officers have been trained across communities in the processes and procedures of civil intelligence gathering. The purpose of that is to be able to forestall some of these security breaches, that may occur if they are not discovered on time and the early warning signs communicated to the right channels, before such breakdown in security occur. And we do this through our special reports and our Pulse of the Nation reports, which regularly is passed to the various service chiefs, the intelligence chiefs, the president and the vice president, the Senate president and the speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, and other such authorities that will can take preemptive actions, to forestall some of the security breaches. Now, the level of sensitization, you are correct. Your intro spoke directly to the point. Historically, National Orientation Agency had been at the forefront of sensitizing citizens across communities to support the efforts of security forces and also to recognize the fact that they have a critical role to play in providing information to security forces that they can act upon to forestall security breaches and then to deal with criminal elements in our communities who cause problems regularly.
Mr. Akoji, you've spelled it out for us, and I want to believe the synergy is good in terms of positive engagement across all frontiers. But trust and building trust and confidence requires more. Talking about a holistic approach, amongst citizens. You talked about the civil intelligence gathering, but what's the feedback like? Where is the place of trust and building that confidence so the cohesion can be seamless?
You see, so what it is now is, like I told you, the military is doing quite a lot to win citizens' confidence. And they are doing this through a platform that's called Civil-Military Relations. We're working with them on this. There's a lot that the military is doing in various communities across the country that is not as public as it ought to be, but in various theaters and in various communities across the country, the military is working with community members to establish schools, hospitals, to provide medical services across communities that are troubled by security issues. And in this way, they are working with community leaders, traditional rulers, and all of that, and they are winning the hearts and minds of the people in these communities. Gone are those days when the military was far removed from the people and seen as a group of persons who constantly harass, beat up, and intimidate citizens. That perception has greatly changed under the leadership of General Christopher Musa, who's the Chief of Defense Staff currently. And what we're doing to ensure that there's a larger awareness of some of the things that the military are doing, because that is how you gain confidence of the people. When the people become aware that the armed forces and the security agencies are doing their work, diligently. Quite a number of them are paying the supreme price on the battlefield, losing their lives constantly as they engage all these criminal elements that are troubling our countries from various geopolitical zones and regions in this country. So there's a lot of intervention that's going. And what we're doing currently is we are going to the field with the military.
Okay.
We're going to communities that have been liberated from the holds of bandits and criminal elements, and then we're interviewing community members to tell their story, the way it was before and the way it is now after the military.
Talking about the feedback.
Absolutely. This is the feedback I'm talking to you about now. And pretty soon you're going to be seeing that on television, across all major television networks under our Nigeria Happened to Me documentary series that's currently running. So we've been on the field across Nigeria with members of the armed forces and allowing the people to tell their story.
Okay.
And then we're encouraging the military also to also tell their own story. They are very secretive. There's a lot that is going on. They are dealing heavy blows on bandit groups across this country.
Mr. Akoji, it's
Yes.
good. We're going to look forward to that so we hear their own story.
All right,
so
then.
we can, evoke some sense of sympathy and respect more for the military.
And
All
trust.
of us, Yes, and trust, of course. Let's
Yes.
take a break. We'll be back. Thank you for staying with us. Aside the military, the Nigeria police and other security agencies have continued to tackle the breach of relative peace, especially in Benue State. Now, other groups, including religious leaders, traditional rulers, the civil society, and the youths, are contributing their quota to quench the embers of criminality and violence in various sections of the state. Charles Abba has more for us.
Various communities of Benue State in recent times have come under serial attacks by armed criminals killing and destroying property. The latest is the invasion of Yelwata community in Guma local government area, where scores lost their lives, including security operatives. The Inspector General of Police mobilized tactical teams to reinforce the security architecture in order to bring the menace to a halt. Deeply concerned about the unrest, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu shelved his tight schedule, visited the state, gave a marching order to the service chiefs to rise to the occasion. Apart from the interface, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, had with the paramount rulers in the state to broker peace. Governor Hyacinth Alia had met with all heads of security and traditional rulers to strategize on the way forward.
We are positive the security agencies are doing their best and cooperating with us and working with us. We believe that we will overcome the insecurity challenges.
Religious leaders and peace advocates have sued for unity among citizens.
With all these efforts and strategies employed by the relevant authorities to tame the tide of insecurity in the state, it is hoped that all will be well soon. Charles Abba, NTA News.
All right, Mr. Akoji, the Yelwata situation is just an unfortunate one. And, you know, this is the kind of situation some persons, you know, may use as a yardstick to spread fake news and give misinformation. How did NOA step in, or how is NOA strategizing to ensure that loopholes are covered and, of course, communities are duly engaged?
Okay, you see, not just in Yelwata. Currently, the National Orientation Agency is engaging with the Office of the National Security Advisor. You know, in addition to community engagements with traditional rulers, religious leaders, and other stakeholders in various communities where these header farmer challenges are going on. We are currently in partnership with ONSA, the Office of National Security Advisor, planning a nationwide campaign, you know, of sensitization, you know, in various communities. We're even doing a mapping as I speak with you. We're doing a mapping to identify the locations where especially the headers are, you know. Not all headers are criminals, but because of the persistence of these attacks and the gruesome killings that come from it, there's a situation today where every header is at risk, you know, because of stigmatization as a result of what the criminals amongst them are doing. So we're going out there to sensitize communities to be able to differentiate, you know, between law-abiding citizens and citizens that, people that are basically criminals. You see what happened in Plateau State by way of reprisal, where a vehicle was stopped and people who were going for a wedding were brought out and burned. Such despicable acts, you know. So we will be sensitizing across Nigeria, in addition to Yelwata, to encourage communities to be security conscious and to be able to decipher between criminal elements who go into communities and kill and peaceful citizens who are either transiting through, you know, to do their businesses or to do their social activities, you know, and then to mobilize citizens to understand that they have a critical role to play also in de-escalating some of these situations that lead to these security breaches.
Especially the media.
Absolutely.
Mr. Akoji.
Yes.
The media is very sensitive, and whatever we put out there can either break or mar.
Absolutely.
Going forward, what's your advice?
My advice is there cannot be meaningful national development under a situation of insecurity. And the security forces cannot be in every street and every community at the same time. Yeah. So communities must organize themselves and become security aware. They must organize themselves to become the first responders, you know, where there's a security breach. And they must reach out to security agencies who at this time, as I speak with you, have been sensitized by the president to up their game and respond quickly where such information comes.
What about real-time information, like, you know, on the go, where citizens can easily just send information to the NOA?
Absolutely. We have a platform in place. We have the mobilizer, you know, that has been launched sometime last year. And that mobilizer, the NOA mobilizer, can be downloaded, you know, on phones, either Android or iOS, you know, and all of these devices, you know, and that mobilizer provides a platform where citizens can report if they see something, you know, and the output from that mobilizer forms part of what we send, like the special reports I told you about at the beginning of this conversation, you know, so we're available.
Okay, so I think there should be more mobilization to push for this mobilizer, because a lot of people, I'm sure, Mr. Koji, don't know about it.
We did a lot of sensitization. It's never all enough. It has to be consistent and ongoing. You know, so we're aware of that. Every time we go out, in all of our materials, we sensitize on the availability of the mobilizer to harness information, you know, on these things. But we will continue to do that, and we'll do one. Like I told you, we are partnering with Office of National Security Advisor on two fronts. To carry out a nationwide sensitization against all of these killings that are going on, and to sensitize the public on their role, you know, in ensuring security. And another one, to sensitize the public to take ownership of critical national infrastructure, like telecom masts. These are part of our security architecture, you know, and other such facilities.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Akoji. For us in NTA, we'll continue to give our own support to ensure that security becomes everybody's business. Thank you very much for coming on Weekend File.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.